Emotions are born for one thing and one thing only, and that is so that they can be experienced. So once an emotion is experienced, it will dissipate into the ether, and it'll just recycle the energy back into the universe.
Here we go again. Take two. Welcome back to Parenting on Purpose. Guys, I'm so excited to share Joseph Drumheller with us. He is a master hypnotherapist. And we are going to explore today how using this medicine with children can be very impactful in not only their healing, but yours as well. So, Joseph, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I'm so excited. This is incredible. I'm so excited to have you. So, let's just jump right into it. Please share with us how you stumbled into the practice of hypnotherapy for children, how you find it impactful, how it heals, all of it. We're down for the journey.
Okay, so how I stumbled into hypnotherapy in the beginning was through my own personal experiences as a client. So I had very powerful mystical experiences at the beginning that completely changed the course of my life. Into deep healing. I understood deep healing, also understood how hypnotherapy can incredibly increase and enhance your creativity and can connect you into higher levels of consciousness or divine connection, whatever you want to call it. And that energy in itself, when you tap into it more deeply, is the source of all healing. So tapping into that energy is paramount. So, and how I stumbled onto it for kids. First of all, I'm a father too. And I've worked with a lot of children. But hypnotherapy is, if you use it for children, you have to understand that children are already totally in tune to their subconscious mind. So you don't. It's to tune them into that level of their existence. The easiest way to do it is by playing games or doing what I call meditation exercises that are fun just for kids. So, and so what that can do with children, it can influence their behavior in certain ways. Like it can calm them down or can excite them. Can definitely enhance their creativity, and also enhance their mental awareness or their cognitive. So it can make them better learners and just more wonderful people altogether. So I don't use it for kids so much for healing as I do for enhancing their positive qualities. Because if children need healing, if children are in deep need of healing, usually the people I will look to first will be their parents, because children are subconscious sponges for their parents. And so any dysfunction or any problems that are in the family with the parents are going to be picked up by the children. So if you heal the parents, the kids will naturally heal. So.
Wow, that's awesome. That is amazing. Now, can you explain how mainly you've come to work with children? Do parents come to you and say, like, how was that even a thing? Like, I would love to do that for my children. Like, how did people come to you and introduce this, or?
Well, usually for me, it'll come through the parents first. Okay. Gotcha. So, and usually I kind of screen my clients that way. So if I can work with the parents first, that's always the best thing to do. And the thing that is important to understand about hypnotherapy, which involves children directly, is that it's important to understand the nature of emotion. Okay. So if I can explain that would be great. So the nature of emotions. So emotions are born for one thing and one thing only, and that is so that they can be experienced. So once an emotion is experienced, it will dissipate into the ether, and it'll just recycle the energy back into the universe. So the thing that is interesting about emotions is that all of us, every single person on the planet, does not like to experience the negative emotions. So we don't like to feel pain or anxiety or stress or any of that stuff. And so what we all do from a very early age is that we learn how to not experience those emotions. So without knowing or without any conscious awareness, we will avoid those emotions. Okay. And so, and so when we avoid those emotions, what happens is that they get suppressed into the subconscious mind.
Yep.
Okay. So now you're walking around in your day-to-day life, unaware that you're carrying these suppressed emotions, which are probably traumatic experiences from early in your childhood for most of us. Okay. So this is where the children part comes into it. So what happens as we continue to disregard or try to avoid those unpleasant emotions? What will happen as they continue to come up and we continue to avoid them is that they will start to create situations in our lives where they can be experienced. So we're carrying
Oh,
around this
yes.
situation of, say, anger. And so what will happen is that our subconscious mind will go to work, it will pull all the people in around us, whatever it needs for us to create a situation where we can experience our anger. Okay? And so if we do not experience our anger, we avoid those situations again, suppress them into the subconscious mind. At that point, what we start to see are repeating patterns of the same pain over and over again. So who has those? Everyone. So everyone
Yes.
experiences this. This is a human phenomenon that leads us into our healing. And so as you see the same patterns of pain or fear or anxiety coming up over and over again, the cast of characters has changed, but the situation is the same. Then you know at that point that you have what's called a subconscious emotional charge. And
Yep.
so the beauty of hypnotherapy, so what hypnotherapy is, so hypnotherapy is a form of guided meditation. So it takes you into this relaxed state where it opens up your subconscious mind, which allows you to do essentially three things. And so one is healing on a very deep level, deep emotional healing. So you release these feelings, and then those suppressed feelings are released, and those repeating patterns stop. Okay.
Oh,
So it can also
amazing.
be used sometimes for physical healing, sometimes for mental healing, always for spiritual healing. And then hypnotherapy also connects you to the source of creativity. So your creativity will tends to expand and become more alive. And then if you take it further than that, then you really get into the source of creativity, and that's the source of the conscious chi or God or whatever you want to call it. And that's where you start getting into the mystical experiences where you can do some pretty amazing stuff. And so that's what hypnotherapy is used for. So the important part where it comes in dealing with children is that those early experiences that we have as children, usually before the age of 4, every child that has lived on the planet experiences a traumatic experience or experiences at those young ages. And so, and it's all relative. So maybe some child is born into a war zone. Excuse me. So that's really high traumatic. Yet a very sensitive child could have something that seems totally benign to another kid, but could have a very
Right.
powerful traumatic experience because the kid's so sensitive. So it's all relative. So everybody that lives experiences trauma from their past, and I don't know if it's a learning thing or it's just part of the human condition, but we suppress those feelings as children and they get stuck into our subconscious. And then they will work themselves out later as we become adults. And so
Well,
I don't think there's any parents, throughout human history that can protect children from those traumatic events. You know, and what you can do is to raise your own level of consciousness to help them go through those events. But even then, I
right.
think it's part of the human thing, and I don't know why it is, but humans are programmed, I think, to a certain amount of suffering. And I think
Right.
in that suffering and in that experience, that's where the healing and the mystical experiences come and actually draws us closer to our own personal destinies and stuff like that.
Of course. Well, they call it classroom Earth for a reason, right? We've come here to live out these experiences and to learn. It's amazing.
It is this classroom experience on Earth. And then it's really interesting because we're all thrown into this planet together, and there's a really wide range of awareness on the planet. So, but we're all in it together. So it's kind of a interesting experience, I guess you'd say.
It's amazing experience. Joseph, have you been? I have some questions, but I'm having a squirrel moment. Have you ever been introduced to the work of Matthias De Stefano?
I have not.
I'm gonna send you some of his stuff.
So
He probably one of the best explanations I've ever seen for like the different dimensions and how everything interworks. But he basically equates each person to a cell on the planet, and had different cells all have different functions. Some are brain cells, some are kidney cells, some are bloodstream cells, and our level of consciousness correlates directly with our mission on this, here at this time. So I find it very cool.
right.
You just explained in like
And our
five.
and our mission
Okay.
at this time, our mission. Oh, excuse me.
No, no, no. It was a lag. Go ahead. I'll remember my question.
No, and so our mission at this time. So human beings are commissioned. There's a there's a um, there's a very specific mission that is occurring right now. So, and it's big. So we are here to shift our consciousness. So, now there's a lot of things that we see in our everyday world that looks like, we're headed for, we're the lemmings heading for off the edge of the cliff. But there's a parallel component going to that, which equates it. It's just not as visible. Is that there's a huge spiritual awakening going on the planet right now. So the things that we talked about earlier, like we've been going through the last month, okay, that's going on too. And so there's these two almost like things like polarly, opposed dynamics going on in the planet, but yet we are all in this thing together, and no one really knows how it's going to turn out. And the time that we're in right now, like this decade, is critical. So we're in the red zone. We're in the hot seat. It's happening right now. What people have been talking about for decades and decades is actually happening right now. So, and we are here to be part of that. So the thing we need to ask ourselves as spiritually evolved people, what is your part? What are you going to do? Because it's a time of action. It really is. So, and we don't need to do anything, but it will behoove us if we can all connect into this universal life force that is bringing us all together for this seemingly climatic phase. Does that make sense at all, or I'm just rambling?
Oh, 1,000%. I mean, there's been so many beautiful like little synchronicities and connections through this conversation. But mainly that we came here, whatever your personal beliefs are, however you believe that all occurred, to feel and to experience life. And now when you decide to have children or children are brought through you, it is basically that higher calling to assist now another life. You meant like I love you basically explained the law of attraction, and you did it in such a great way because it wasn't ethereal, it wasn't out there. It was basically you are meant to have these experiences, and the more you suppress them, the more life is going to find other ways for them to come through your life because they need to be felt, and released so that you can move on in your path. And I love that, not only personally, but as a parent, because it will help you understand and relate to your children, whether they're 16 and they're rebellious and they want to go out with their friends, or they're 3 years old and their monster truck just broke and now they're throwing a fit. Not to say I can relate to either of those, but just kidding. But that's amazing.
Also, something else that we're seeing now, we've been seeing it for the past few decades, is that with each generation of children coming through, there's a segment of each of those populations of children that come through where kids are coming through that are highly evolved. They're, they're like way more evolved than like a group of people that I was born with, And so these kids are going to be the leaders of the new wave of humanity. So, and how is that going to be, and how are you going to guide your children? So what if you're born to this like highly evolved kid? What are you going to, that's way beyond you? What are you going to, what are you going to do? How are you going to guide this beautiful soul into this future that they're going to create? So it's a really interesting time.
Well, my answer is easy. I'm gonna introduce them to you and let you figure it out. No, I'm just kidding.
Interesting. So my wife and I, we own a dance and performing arts studio. So we work with children all the time. I mean, my wife is such a gifted teacher. she can channel this energy into children and just get like these phenomenal results. But she is seeing it with the children that are coming through her studio. These 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 little gems and these
Oh, it's
these
awesome.
sparkling old souls that are being brought into the planet now. Yeah, it is.
That's amazing.
It's amazing.
Yes, they're. I've always been so charged and energized by children and animals. They just have such a potentiality to them, a freshness, a excitement, lust for life. It's incredible. It's so beautiful. There's a parallel that you
Yeah,
highlighted on, and I
pretty much. When you become an adult, it's the hormonal changes that you go through. They don't have those. They're unfiltered, and they're beautiful. Children and animals both.
that's probably why the divine orchestration was for us to have children so that we could be reminded to play and to be present and to keep some of those faculties, right? I don't care about being 120 and
Yeah.
decrepit, but the second I lose my mind and I start to not enjoy life, like I'm done. I'm ready. So I do
I'm
want
with
to
you on that
ask,
one.
yeah, you mentioned something that really struck my heart, and I would be remiss not to bring it up. I know before we started recording, you mentioned that you worked with healthcare and specifically with cancer patients on your road to discovery of the potency and really beautiful work that hypnotherapy can do. I also want to loop that into what you said about if you do not allow emotions to come through and be felt, they start to show up differently. They show up as experiences. They show up as illnesses. Um, I don't think as many people have made that connection yet with, if the head and the heart are not in alignment, the body will tell on you. So I feel in my soul right now, one of the best things we could do is to make that connection for parents and how important it is to help your kids so that they don't store that emotion in their body and that comes up as different things. So through your working with your clients, could you walk us through some, and I know we can't obviously go into a session right now, but any tools or techniques that can be done in the conscious version of your vertical to help let those emotions go through you so that you can process them?
Right. Here's one for kids. This is one that can be used for kids. It's real easy and it's really great. It's really effective. And so, okay, let's say a kid is having problems with like anger, throwing tantrums. Okay, so you take them through this little exercise. So they hold one hand up, their left hand will hold the negative emotion. And so you tell the kid, you tell your child, okay, just put that feeling in your hand, and they can actually do it. You go, oh, you watch them do it, they actually do it. So it's really great. And so they have this feeling in their hands called anger, and then you ask them to explain it. So what does it feel like? Well, it feels like it's heavy or sharp or whatever, and it's kind of heavy in my hand. And then you take the other hand, the right hand up, and you tell them to put in what's the exact opposite of anger. So you don't tell them what it is, you let them come up with it, right? So they're using their own intelligence. And so they tell you what it is and what that feeling is. This is a really fun one. And so they have these two feelings in each hand, right? One's negative anger, and the other one is whatever the opposite of that is, fun or whatever. And so here's where the magic happens. So then you say, okay, take your hands like this. You want to do it so it's about shoulder length apart, but my screen's kind of narrow. So, and then you tell them that, okay, now what you're going to feel in your hands is that you're going to feel like a magnetic pull. And so, oh yeah, I feel that. And so their hands start to slowly come together. Okay. And so, and you said, well, just keep those hands until they actually touch. So you can feel those two feelings, those opposite feelings come together to touch, and then say, well, just put it in this prayer position as soon as you get there. Okay. And then say, now just hold it there. You're going to feel something. You're going to feel it. So I want you to let me know when those two feelings are at peace, when they stop arguing. Okay, so what is happening at this point? They're going through an emotional integration process. This is very profound, but very simple. And you're actually, if you do it yourself and you feel it, you can actually feel like there's some biochemistry going on in your brain, which there is. You're creating new patterns of peace and integration. So you stick with it. You can do this with mentally ill kids too. So and it works. And so you just keep those together till you feel peace. and you feel integrated, and it's all calm. And then when they get there, they'll say, yeah, I feel that. And they say, okay, now take your two hands and just put them on your heart and let all those feelings go into your heart that are balanced and at peace. And then that's it. Then you go play.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for that gift. I'm going to do
Yeah,
that
so
with
that's
my son and daughter today.
one little tool. So that one works all the time. And then you can even tell them that whenever you feel angry or whatever, you can do that anytime you want by yourself. And so you'll see them in the room once in a while. Like this. That's really,
That's awesome. That is so fun. I love this. That's great. I'm definitely going to utilize this. That's cool. Could you
and kids, so kids are,
oh no,
yeah,
go
so
ahead. Sorry.
kind of just step back. So with hypnotherapy and stuff, you go with the adults, you go through this process of relaxation and different techniques to relax and use different mental imagery techniques to help heal whatever. Kids, you don't have to do any of that. They're already there. So you just play games with them and say, okay, well, you feel this anger in your heart. Well, just put it in a bubble and have it move outside. And they being, okay, great. What's next? So kids are really fast. They're already totally plugged in. This is kids 8 years and under, I'll say. And once they get older, that
Okay.
it gets a little different.
Okay.
So you can use all these different easy techniques really quickly with children that take almost no effort because kids are totally dialed in. So
Is there a way like is there a wrong way to do this if you're an adult and you don't have training? Or as long as it's an embodiment of like having fun and visualization, because I walk my family through visualization exercises and meditations all the time, and I'm not a professional. I'm just going off of what feels right. Are there any watch outs, or is it pretty much like, just have fun with it?
my, my, um, my rule of thumb with that is that intention, what you're intending to do will always override technique.
Nice.
So if you're not using the right technique, but your heart is to heal this child, you're going to heal the child. Because what you're doing is you're bringing love through. Okay, and so love is what heals. It's you can use all these techniques and image and stuff, but what heals is that divine vibration of love.
I love
That heals everything. And when you get down to it, that's all spirituality is. You're just hooking into that vibration and letting nature do the rest. Or whatever else. It's simple.
That's beautiful. Wow. It's almost like we were designed to do it. Now we just overthink it. Just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. So part of the challenges with human beings is that we have a conscious mind, right? And that conscious mind can do great stuff. It can do just fabulous things. All these things we can do as human beings, but also can drive us crazy, because we get the monkey mind, the monkey chatter. It's like, how many people do you know, or how many people, or like you can see it on the like social media. It's like whatever
Yeah.
comes into your mind, you just spew it out to project all that negativity into the world where it finds its audience, and self-perpetuates itself. But if we can just let the noise of the mind go and tune into the heart, slow down and breathe, then we find each other, you know?
That's beautiful. If you could give
Yeah.
parents one technique to take into tomorrow or the rest of their day with their children, just maybe to drop into their center or drop into their mindful moment, what would that be for them?
For their parent or their child.
Well, interestingly, I said the parent because I feel like that's going to have the most
That's what
impact.
it is.
Yeah.
We'll use one that is really simple and works for everybody. Okay? You're frustrated, something's come up, you're stressed out, be it parent or adult, you simply stop for a moment, you close your eyes, and you take deep breath. Just that. Just so do that like 2 or 3 times. And so, there's been lots of research and stuff on done on breathing and stuff, what the physiological impacts of that are, but it works. So breath is the simplest thing there is. And just breathe, take a deep breath. You give a big exhale to let out the negative energy, and then maybe do it a few more times. And that just makes a huge difference in the moment.
Especially if you
So,
add
and
the
it's
visual
right there.
component.
Yeah, if you want to add a visual component, so kids are great at this. Have them imagine anything they want that's like they love, what they love to do, or like, oh, I see, so and so, what cartoon character or whatever, it's like just
Yep.
breathe and enjoy that, you know.
It's awesome.
Kids are easy, kids are easy.
You have such a
Parents are
joyous,
can be a little more
fun.
difficult.
Yeah. Well, it's true. That's why we need our children. You have such a joyous and
Yeah.
fun disposition about you. I can tell that you've done so much with this work, and you just let that spirit move through you. I find it fascinating. I'm very excited to work with you personally and try some of this out. Can you please let our families know
Yeah.
where they can find your work and let them know how to connect with you?
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah. So I have an academy. It's called JDH Academy. Okay, and you can Google that and find it on the internet. So that would be a good place to start, I guess. I could give you the
Awesome.
email address, but I don't know what it is off the top of my head, or the web
The
link. I
URL.
don't know what it is off the top of my head. So,
Well, I will find it
yeah,
and I will link it for
yeah.
them.
Okay, thank you very much. So the reason that this is joyous and stuff is that because what we're doing with this stuff is that we're hooking into the life force. So we're hooking into whatever you want to call it. I don't want to put names on it, but there is so much enthusiasm and joy in that energy, you know, and it's inside all of us. It's inside all of us. And when you tap into it and you get around other people, when you get around other people who are tapped into it, that's when things get really great. They get,
Really
it
great.
gets magical. So, yeah. So,
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. Yeah, and I know people feel that at different, like some people feel that at concerts, you feel it at church, you feel that kids feel that at a playground. It's all that life force, and we are co-creating this reality. So, like cognizant of it or not, we're energetic beings, and when we're around other people vibrating at the same frequency, it's like a tuning fork, and it gets very intense and joyous.
so, so, so imagine this. Imagine this. Imagine you're going to a concert, some band or some, you know, celebrity that is totally, high vibe, bringing it on. Everyone loves it. What if you had your entire audience was tuned into the life force energy, experiencing that? Can you
Amazing.
imagine what that would be like?
I
Yeah,
know. It's
phenomenal.
awesome. I think of that at a smaller level. I think of that as a parent now that I'm in the throes of momdom. If I was to wake up and I tune myself first thing in the morning, how does my family get impacted by that? How do the people I come into contact with each day get impacted by that? I think as parents, we fall prey to getting up and just going, and we're picking up the first
Yeah.
energy we come into contact with instead of being intentional. So what you said earlier on, like, what if we were all
So
just a little bit better? Sorry, go ahead.
so I have a suggestion. This is a suggestion. You can take it with a grain of salt. So do you guys eat your meals together? Do you eat it at a table together? Okay.
Most of the
Do you
time,
guys?
sometimes, most of the time.
Okay, sometimes this is like, okay, try this just once and see if you want. Okay, so so do you say like thanks or anything before you eat?
We do.
Not
Yep.
some, some people. Okay, so try this. If your husband's into it, I don't know if your kids are. Hold hands. Okay, hold hands, and then
Okay.
feel the energy coming through your body. Okay, and then feel it go through your hands to everyone, and tell your kids to
It's
see if
awesome.
they can feel it. Okay, and
I
then
love that.
and then if you can get everyone to feel it in the family, then you're all tuned in together,
Oh, that's
and the
beautiful.
kids will feel it. The kids will
Yeah.
feel it. Yeah.
That is so fun. I love
Food will
this.
probably taste
Yes. And it's
good.
those small
So that's
things
all
like,
exercise you can try with your family.
I love this. This is amazing. Well, Joseph, this has been amazing. I think we're having a bit of a connective thing, but I definitely think I'm going to have you on again in a future session. As I said, I'm personally looking forward to understanding your work better and working with you. And yeah, please let us know of any new developments in your world or different courses so we can let our audience know. I think a lot of people would be really interested in this work. And I think it's new to a lot of us. So I think it's awesome what you're doing, and I really appreciate you sharing it with us today.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks for having me on. It's been a joy to meet you. Absolutely.
You were incredible. I greatly appreciate it. A- And everybody who's on, thank you
Thanks.
guys so much for being here. Until next time, stay beautiful and stay inspired, guys. We'll see you soon.